gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan. Joining us this week on Talking Business is the CEO for Teejay Lanka, Pubudu Silva. Welcome to the show, Pubudu. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Now, Pubudu, Sri Lanka has just been ranked 11th place in Just Style's top 10 list of apparel sourcing countries to watch out for in 2022. What more, in your assessment, needs to be done for this textile sector to sustain growth in the long term?
Well, if you look at, actually that's a good news to reach into 11th position of the ranking. Now, if you look at in this ranking, some of the major competitors of Sri Lanka has been ranked below us. Now, for example, Bangladesh and India has ranked at 16 and Bangladesh at 12. So before I get into rest of it, I would like to give some context into our setup in apparel industry. Now, in 2019, we reached 5.3 billion US dollars revenue, and then in 2020 this came down into 4.1 billion as a result of pandemic situation, and this was expected to be 2 billion US dollar impact. But however, because of the strategies that we had in place, we were able to reduce the impact to 1 billion mark, and we end up with 4.1. And then in 2021, we reached this into 5.07, that is almost like 5.1 billion US dollars. So that's a high level what we have achieved in Sri Lankan apparel and textile industry. But if you look at in this ranking, Vietnam has ranked as the #1 destination, and they have scored 59 points out of 75. And they have year on year, they have grew regardless of COVID. And also today, if you look at it, it's a 60 billion US dollar industry in Vietnam. And then China, we know that that's a dominating country in apparel exports, and they have been ranked as 4th position. So they have got 54 points out of 75. So there are advantages, and also there are dynamics playing in this to achieve this level. Now, if you look at some of the criteria of this, price has been the main factor or one of the factors, and then how competitive, how in pricing point of view, and execution is one of the criteria. Also, compliance and sustainability, which Sri Lanka is in a good position. And then flexibility in order quantities, innovation, product side innovation, and also service side. And then ability to create value-added products, financial stability, and vertical integration. Likewise, there are factors affecting for this ranking. So that's a in this to get into 11th position is really remarkable. But most important thing is the other part of the question, what do we do more to sustain this, is that we need to improve our business confidence index. The factors affecting in our favor is, if you look at it, US-China trade war, it's there, and then Xinjiang province cotton. So these are some of the things that in our favor. Because of those, customers are looking at in-country verticality and within the country supply chain. So then this is a good position that we are in. And also the framework that we have with Joint Apparel Association Forum and then association like Pharma, which is Fabric and Apparel Accessories Manufacturers Association. So with this association, we have been looking at the framework and the challenges, and then we work with our members to support and sustain the industry. So it's a good position to be in that number, but more than the number, what do we do? How do we take this industry forward is the key question that we need to work on.
What are some of the challenges faced by Sri Lanka's textile and apparel manufacturers, especially in the context of the pandemic and the other crises we now face?
Again, if you look at this industry has been started about 2 to 3 decades back, and we had multiple challenges. If you look at it, the quota was a major concern, and quota phase out was discussed in many forums long time back. But we survived even without quota, and then 30 years of war, and then recently Easter Sunday attack, and then GSP plus. We had an era with GSP plus, and then again GSP plus was removed, and then again we got GSP plus. Now again we have discussions of removing of GSP. But however, we have survived with GSP and without GSP, and then our revenue has grown year on year. Again, with this COVID, we have gone down. But the important thing is, these are some of the factors that customers will look at it, how competitive we are going to be determined with these factors. So even without this, we have survived. And then the COVID is the latest one, which affects countries like us. But at the end of the day, if you look at, as I said earlier, Vietnam and Bangladesh, despite COVID, they grew their revenue in apparel exports. So that's something we also can do, but we need to have proper infrastructure in place. And if we do that, I think we can do much better. And then if you look at it, some of the other challenges that we have is how well we execute the orders that we take to build customer confidence. And then the other thing is the relationship that we have with our customers. And also, if we improve our productivity, if we give a proper solution, and then solution to customer pain points, I think those will be taken. And also the speed solutions that we have come up with, that is a clear solution for customer pain points, because of the lead time that we take in apparel manufacturing is far too long, and reduction of that, clearly we will be in a better place. And in terms of pandemic impact, as you know that there were logistic related issues. As a result of that, we run out of raw material, and then we had challenges of bringing raw material, and raw material prices, if you look at it today, is at the highest level. Cotton prices are all-time high, and we were expecting this to come down with the new crop in November-December period, but unfortunately that didn't come down, and it's continued to increase. So those are some of the challenges that we need to manage carefully. But overall, if you look at it, with these challenges, we have somehow survived, and I'm sure the aspiration of textile exports, we should be able to reach if the proper infrastructure and the support in place.
Now, the trade war between the US and China is expected to open more business to the textile sector. In your view, how could Sri Lanka and other South Asian countries benefit from the ongoing war?
Again, the trade war between US and China has been there for some time. And with that, there were changes. Now, if you look at Xinjiang province, labor-related issues and the concerns, as a result of that, 25% of cotton was curtailed to US market. And then there are restrictions as a result of that. In China, the companies are with scale. So competing with these countries, it's not that easy. But the solutions that we give, I'm sure we can compete and we can work on this. And then the vertical integration, that is something very important. As I mentioned earlier, closer to needle point and in-country verticality, customers are looking at that as a one-stop solution for everything. So if we improve our vertical integration, that will help to improve the country and the market. And then Vietnam and Bangladesh, as I mentioned earlier, year on year, because of this dynamics of the trade war between US and China, they have benefited. And also we are also benefited, but selecting of programs and changing the programs that we do is important. Also, we can increase revenue in time to come. The solutions what we give speed in terms of innovations, invest in R&D is some of the things that are important to move forward.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate, protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back as we continue our conversation with the CEO of Teejay Lanka, Pubudu de Silva. Now, Pubudu, in your assessment, to what extent are innovation and rapid advancement of technology impacting the sector?
Yeah, so that innovation, whatever the industry we are in, whether it's agriculture industry, whether it's service industry, whether it's manufacturing industry or tech companies, innovation is important. So with these changes, we have to make sure that we do changes in our processes, in our products, to ensure that we are ahead of the game. Now, there are things like product innovation. So we look at our product portfolio, we upgrade our product portfolio, and then we give innovative product based on market trends. These are things that we are doing. But I think the company should take this as one of the prime responsibilities if they want to be ahead of the game. And it's not only product, as I said, even the service innovation. And then some of the products also change. At least a product wasn't there in the past, but now today it's a trend. And then we have to be in that segment. For that, manufacturing of fabric to accessories, all these, the vertical setup should be in place. And then technological changes like digital transformation, which is important. So in companies, we can look at what is the digital infrastructure we have in place and make sure that we upgrade our digital infrastructure. And then it could be Industry 4.0 or artificial intelligence, analytics, robotics, whatever we call it. I think we need to work on this to make sure that we reduce time taken for our processes, make sure that we reduce our lead time, to reduce our cost, etc. And reduction of cost is important. If we can automate and reduce the processes, that's something will help to end user. And then customer habits also change during this pandemic. So customers change their way of buying from store to digital platform. Digital platform is today very famous. So the customers have changed, and then we also have changed our processes in order to align with customer changes. So those are some of the things that we have done in the technological aspect.
Ethical fashion has become a hot topic with increasing focus on environmental sustainability. So why should retailers implement environmental and social policies in the textile supply chain?
I think ethical and the compliance environmental thing, we need to take as our responsibility more than not because of it's coming from customers or the industry or whatever, right? We have to take this as our responsibility. If we take that as a responsibility, I think all of us will work towards that. We have to be mindful of carbon footprint. Today, whether we like it or not, this is the second biggest pollutant industry. So if you look at the natural resources we are using for producing of fabric, for example, to dye 1 kilo of fabric, we use about 100 liters. So likewise, the natural resources what we are using for produce garments or apparel and fabric is something that we need to look at how best we can reduce it. And also we should work on 3 P's, bottom line, which is people, planet, and profits. And not only that, 3R concept. Those are some of the concepts that we are using to reduce and and sustainable initiatives. And also the customers are working as champion of social justice. The research has been done, and also Sri Lanka is a destination for ethical work conditions and their workforce. So we started with Joint Apparel Association Forum, the garments without guilt, the concept that we have. So those are going in a big way to move forward in this industry. Because of that, because of the initiatives that we have taken, Sri Lanka is in a better position in apparel industry.
Our final question for this evening, Pubudu. How is the textile sector faring on the HR front, given the challenges that working people are facing today?
For any industry, again, health and safety of employees is prime responsibility, because people is the biggest asset in a company. So we don't cut corners in health and safety, the costs, or we take that as our responsibility. And then even during pandemic period, we spend fair amount of the cost related to health aspects, but we didn't reduce. So that's a prime responsibility of any company. And then we work with JAF and BOI to make sure that we give vaccination to our people as a primary the responsibility. And then we did that. Again, we converted some of the facilities to treatment centers. Likewise, we work very closely with the institutions as well as regulatory authorities to ensure that we looked after our people as prime responsibility.
Well, this has been an interesting conversation. Thank you for joining us on the show this evening, Pubudu, and for your many insights into this sector.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashwini, again.
Coming up, we have the latest updates from the LMD-NielsenIQ Business Confidence Index. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, and here's the latest updates from the LMD-NielsenIQ Business Confidence Index. The BCI surged upward by 3 basis points from the previous month to register 122 in January. The index stands at where it stood a year ago and is a healthy 14 points above its 12-month average of 108. For the sake of comparison, the unique barometer of biz sentiment plummeted from 145 to 93 back in April 2020 when Sri Lanka's COVID-19 run took off, and it has hovered at around the 90 mark when the second and third waves of the pandemic led to the lockdowns and travel restrictions. So in that sense at least, the silver lining is in the relative quiet on the Omicron front, although ominous warnings have been forthcoming from numerous authorities that the threat of another bout is ever present. Meanwhile, NielsenIQ's Director of Consumer Insights, Vethakan, points out that while the Business Confidence Index has increased slightly, this sentiment isn't shared by the general public as the Consumer Confidence Index, or CCI, has dropped to an all-time low of 25. And as she notes, inflation and shortages of key commodities still persist. Abounding sensitivities are the order of the day given the mounting forex crisis and its impact on a multitude of daily essentials, including fuel. Beyond the suffering masses, there's an increasingly edgy tourism industry as key source markets such as Europe grapple with a rapidly spreading Omicron variant. In the January edition of LMD, we asserted that the direction of the BCI is likely to hinge on how the government plans to avert a state of economic failure. Vethakan attributes the slight improvement in sentiment to businesses formulating new strategies to salvage and improve on whatever has been lost due to the pandemic in 2021. The business community may well be taking a longer-term view, but it has to be said that until there's a revival of Sri Lanka's economy and an easing of the restrictions that the forex crisis has necessitated, there's a limit on what degree such resilience can hold. And that's all the time we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.